Welcome everyone. My name is Rajnikant Patel. I'm the retired executive and author of children's books. And I'll be the moderator today. Our format today will be the speaker will talk about, introduce the subject for 15 minutes. I'll have a question answer for 15 minutes, and then we'll open up for the audience. Let me introduce today's holistic inner science expert, Deepakanandji. Deepakanandji has a bachelor's in electrical engineering, has several years of experience working in industry. From the very childhood, he had an inclination to be a celebrate and was in search of answers to the puzzles of everyday life. His answers were obtained when he received self-realization through the grace of self-realized holistic scientist Sri M. Patel in 1983. Since then, he has pursued his dream to work selflessly to spread the message of holistic inner science for the upliftment of the entire mankind and answering questions from people how to solve everyday puzzles and be happy. He has devoted his entire life to studying holistic inner science and visiting rural and urban areas in India, UK, USA, Canada, UK, Europe, Africa, Australia, and New Zealand to spread the real scientific understanding of this holistic inner science. He is an expert on holistic inner science and in interpersonal relationship. He has also attended many seminars, conferences, and his specialty is question and answer session. Welcome, Deepakanandji.
Thank you, and greetings to all in oneness. I'm very happy to be here with you, and I thank everyone for giving me this opportunity of sharing my experience. Thank you.
Welcome. Before we discuss today's topic, we had some homework. Observe in your daily life the body function that do things against soul function that simply no. So any feedback? I will share my thoughts on this one. It's a very tough assignment because pretty much if you really look at it, all our actions are bodily actions, and we think our soul is also doing with the body. So when you want to differentiate, like you talked earlier in our earlier session, it is very difficult, or at times you forget that this is a body function against the soul.
Okay, I had made a self-study and my observations are as follows. I compared the activities of my body self against the all-knowing soul self activities. We know that the body doesn't have power to know. Even the five senses what we have, they have the power to know because of the soul factor which is there within all of us. So I just compared and I said these are my observations. I compared the doing activities of the body self, the relative body self, and the knowing activity of the real pure soul self. So I woke up in the morning. That is, the body self wakes up in the morning. I know. That is, the soul self knows. The body self went to restroom, worked out, had bath, got ready for work, had tea and breakfast, drove to work, had meeting with my work with for some clashes, resolved some clashes, had lunch, finished other routine office work, drove back home. On the way back, bought some ice creams and sweets, candies, had tea at home, and then had dinner with the family, went for a walk, before going to bed, had ice cream, then watched little time television, and then went to sleep. And against all these activities, the soul self has the power to know. But at times, I say, I did all this, whereas actually the body self did these activities and I came to know. So, all doing activities are of the name bearer, mind, speech, or body self, that is identified as small I, uh, believing the body self, the name as I am, whereas all knowing activities are of the soul self, that is capital I. In fact, that is my true self, but I don't experience this. I am not aware of it. And that's why sometimes I say I do or I did things, and also I say I know. So one of the criteria is one who does or one who do cannot know, and one who has the power to know cannot do. These knowing function and doing functions are totally separate. And this is how you can feel, understand, and experience your soul self as knower and name bearer, mind, speech, body self as doer of all the worldly activities.
Thank you, Umar. This is excellent thing you said, and hopefully, I don't know, one of the audience has something to say on our experience. Go ahead, Truptaben.
Okay, now I don't know if I did the homework correctly or not, but what I did also was, like, as soon as I woke up in the morning, so I know that my body is woke up. So immediately, uh, I I said to this pure soul, thank you, I see that, that I am waking up, because they say, in like in a million people do not wake up in the morning. They die in their sleep. That's the statistics I heard. So and I thank the pure soul, for waking up this body. you know this is, and then when I any activity I do, I would say, I'm always seeing, I'm asking the pure soul, okay, like if I'm going to work, okay, come on now, come along, with me. So the body is going to work, and the activity, I'm looking at the pure soul, who's accompanying me, that is the soul of the body. Always being aware of the pure soul while eating, while if I said something to somebody, like, um, that see, Tripta's action was this, and the pure soul who's knowing that, oh, so, and oh, the pure soul is watching me what I'm doing, and then asking for forgiveness right then from the pure soul, saying that, oh, look, I did something wrong. Observe. So is that what the homework was?
Absolutely, you're right. You're just putting it in a different way, but the fact what we wanted to be mindful and observe was understand the body activities, because the body doesn't have power to know. It has the five senses to know, understand, but without the soul factor behind the five senses, you have no power to know.
Right. It's the
So
soul who's doing everything, actually. Right?
body, mind, and speech is full of activities only.
Right. So,
That's it.
so I was being very, very aware of, like what I'm trying to learn is to be totally aware of that I am the pure soul, and what the body is doing, that
Correct.
is.
That's true, because it's like the fan is not working, the fan is switched on and now it's running. The fan doesn't know, but I know the fan was not running. I turned on the fan and fan is running. That's what we meant. The body, that is mind, speech, body assembly, that is body self, is like a mechanical or a mechanism. It doesn't have power to know, but it is like the way when you have power, electricity, the fan runs when it is turned on. That way.
Thank you.
That
Thank
is how
you.
our body functions. That is how all our bodies function, because of the connectivity.
Right.
And soul in everyone simply knows what is going on. And without the presence of the soul, there is no bodily activity, body itself
Mm-hmm.
activity possible.
Right. Right.
Thank you, Deepakanandji, for explaining. Thank you to Triplaban for
Uh-huh.
sharing your experience. And okay, now we'll go into today's topic. What is holistic inner science, or what is Vitrag science? Once you start thinking about this topic, we've been talking about holistic scientists, holistic inner science. So it's about time we understand what it is. So what is really Vitrag Vignan? To me, science means theory, experiment, and result. How is Vitrag Vignan connected, or why it is called science? Where does the science come from? How does the science fit in our daily life? How can it help in our everyday life? Is this religious or spiritual? What is to be learned from it? Does it help me to get over anger, pride, attachment, greed, likes and dislikes? Why is it not accessible to everybody? Is it difficult to understand? How can I learn more about it? Okay, Deepakanandji, please enlighten us.
Wonderful, wonderful. You have done a wonderful observation. So let us see. Basically, there are two main aspects of science. What the world knows, the material science. It is the outer science. Uh, it is also termed as physical science. It is the science of the ever-changing things in the world, what we see around. And those are, because it is changing, it can be identified as relative, and that is full of activities, which we see all around in the world. It has a perfect chronology, meaning stepping. One thing happens after another. Due to the previous step, the next step follows. Now, the material is primarily inert matter. We know there is no living aspect in the material. There are no emotions. Only where there are emotions, you see that there is some living aspect, living factor. So, inert matter, meaning it is like non-living, but the material associated with the living aspect, that is our body self material, is live matter, which is also, and it also has stepping. It's like uh, you become 1 year old, 2 year old, 3 year old. So there is a stepping. And another aspect of science, that is inner science, or science of the pure soul self. It is said that the soul itself is science, we will see, which is revealed by holistic science, inner science. And the soul is considered as real because it is unchanging and with knowledge function only. And it doesn't have any chronology, meaning it is stepless. And it is called as science related to the soul is holistic inner science, or Vitrag Vignan, as perceived by the holistic scientist Sri A.M. Patel. Uh, it is the science of the relative and the real. Although it is real, why it is said relative and the real is a wonderful thing. Uh, it is, you see, without the knowledge function of the real, none of the activities of or the nature of the relative could be known or even understood. And that is the reason real is supreme or paramount. Also, the finality of our experience is absolute knowledge. That is perfection. So, holistic science is the science of one's own life and living, encompassing mind, speech, body, along with the surroundings. In fact, it is the perpetual science uh, working at the core of every existence. Wherever living being is, wherever soul is, the living aspect is, and it has solutions to all the worldly puzzles of life, including the understanding of how the world functions, how do all living beings function, what is under our control, how can we have a happy, harmonious living, what is the law of karma, etc. This is on the worldly living side. Now, on the spiritual side, too, holistic science has answers like whether the soul exists, whether the soul is eternal, whether soul is doer of karma, what is whether soul is sufferer of karma, who suffers, who does, whether liberation or freedom from birth death cycle is possible or not. All these questions are answered. And finally, whether there is way or path to liberation or not. So all these eternal questions that have kept bothering humankind from time immemorial are fundamentally and scientifically answered by the holistic inner science without any ambiguity, with total clarity and satisfaction, with scientific proof that it has answered all these spiritual and world living puzzlesome questions. So, this is the expanse of the holistic inner science.
So now, why is it called a science? You know, science means theory, experiments, and results.
True. So, science means where you can connect yourself with cause and effect. So, in that regards, if you try to see, you cannot be born out of nothing. And when you are born, there has to be a cause. And while living our life, how we live our life matters. Because we live our life with emotions, and those emotions of anger, pride, possessiveness, greed, likes and dislikes, and our involvement into it causes new karma. We project, we decide to do things. If it is positive, then it is meritorious karma, you say. Otherwise, it is negative when I want to hurt others. So, without the intention of doing, you cannot do. So that's how it is science. What we mean that you can connect or relate every happening with cause and effect relation.
Okay, thank you.
You
Now,
have justification why things happen.
okay, so if that is science, then where did you said it was expounded by the holistic scientists, but is this science universal that it has been uh, carried over for if years and years and years?
Let us say, when we say past, how do you define past?
What is gone?
Now, what all is gone? So, past is endless. In the same way, when we say future, is there any end that we see for the future? No. So it is said that the world, the universe we see, is there, was there from time immemorial and will be there for time immemorial. What is important is the present moment, present time, how you live your life.
And that is
But we keep wandering in the past or
that
in the
is
future.
so that is a science of everyday life. So now, earlier you said science of relative and real. What's relative? What's real?
Let us understand relative meaning it keeps changing, and real that remains forever. Let us see. Uh, you, as Mr. Patel, when you're with your wife, you are husband. When you are with your kids, you are father. When you are with your father, you are his son. When you are at your work, you are an employee. When you are with your boss, you are its subordinate. When you are with your subordinate, you are the boss. When you are in probably, let's say, India, then you are a foreigner. Although your origin is from India, probably, but then when you are in America, you are a citizen of America. So your identity keeps changing. So it is said that our living aspect is relative, but Mr. Patel as mind, spirit, body, self, who exists, he is the same. That is why it is said, like someone analyzed the body after death. He analyzed the ashes when it was burned and all that, and he found that the constitution of the body materially, it had so much of carbon, so much of calcium, so much of iron, so much of gold, so much of silver, and so on. And he found the value in few dollars only. But how much, what is the value of a living person? We will say he is invaluable.
Mhm.
But every individual more or less materially has these constitution only. Although they look different, right? So let us take an example. Water in its vapor form, water in its liquid form, water in its ice form is water only.
True.
Although it looks different. So the appearance is relative, keeps changing, but the main material with which it is made is water.
And what?
Although water itself is relative because it has hydrogen and oxygen.
So what is
And then
real
we say
then?
hydrogen and oxygen is also relative because it is made up of atoms. Coming together of certain number of atoms and molecules makes hydrogen. Certain atoms coming together makes oxygen. So the basic ingredient of the matter, what we see, is uh, atom.
True. So
The
what is
science
real
of,
then?
huh?
What is real then?
Yeah, real, the way you have matter, that is atom is the finality of the matter, the smallest indivisible particle. Same way, soul is also a perpetual entity which has power to know. Whereas matter is material and it is non-living material. Whereas soul is living material. It is perpetual. Like how you have silver, you have gold, just to understand. That way you have matter and soul. Matter is perpetual. You know, it is said matter is indestructible. You cannot destroy matter, but it changes from one form to another that way. But soul, wherever it is there, in any living being it is there, it remains untainted. It remains as soul only because of its own innate power. Like how oil never mixes with water, it always remains separate from water. Same way, soul, although it is there in every living form, it remains untouched, untainted. Like water, I can put red color in the water and the water becomes red. You put blue color in the water, it becomes blue. You put yellow color in the water, it becomes yellow. Right? You can remove color, you can add color, you can put impurity, you can remove impurity in the water. But the water is water. But that is not there in the soul. Soul cannot get tainted. You cannot uh, manipulate or do anything with the soul because you cannot penetrate into it. Like how you can put color into the water.
So now let's come back to Vitrag Vignan or the holistic inner science. So what is there in daily science that we need to learn, or what does Vitrag science talk about that what we should be doing and not doing?
Okay, see, one thing, our life's biggest puzzle is why bad or unpleasant things happen in my life, and why me only,
True,
and why do we all suffer at all?
true.
And holistic science has so wonderfully revealed some of the very basic facts of life and living, that you have a body, so suffering is inevitable. Nobody can escape suffering. You have a body, so you will need food for your survival. You will need sleep, and you will definitely have fear, because there is always uh, fear that somebody will attack you, somebody will eat you, because everyone lives to eat, eats to live, and what they eat is a living form only. You cannot eat something which is non-living. When we say non-living, meaning inert stuff. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
So, when you have body, you have suffering. Okay. It is also said that the world is your echo. It is result of your doing only. What goes around comes around. So whatever has gone out of this body will come back.
Right.
And in this regard, it is said you are wholly and solely responsible for yourself, for your life. It is also said that in any situation, look around. Who is suffering? And it is the sufferer who is at fault. Because one who suffers, he is at fault. And one who inflicts suffering will be punished sooner or later by the nature. The way I am punished today by someone, that person who is inflicting pain and suffering to me will also be punished by the nature sometime in the future. So this is how the nature balances. Today it is my turn. Okay.
So if holistic inner science says we are this is body is a sufferer, then what is the solution? Because if they must be giving some solution.
So it's like you must keep abreast with the holistic inner science. Keep in touch. You must keep upgrading your understanding of life as you go around meeting people, and all your puzzles will get solved.
Okay, give me an example.
See, we keep getting information through news, through other stuff, we keep reading, we keep meeting people, and our understanding upgrades. And that's how our understanding improves. We get to learn more and more. You cannot say the this is the finality of knowing, but we keep knowing, because somewhere or the other we keep suffering. And when you suffer, when you feel hurt, you look out for the solution. Hey, why am I suffering? And until you are suffering, somewhere you are committing a mistake. And when you are committing a mistake, you need to solve the problem. You have to find a remedy. That is why it is said, holistic science makes you perfectly normal. And how would you define normality? Uh, you can say that you are normal when you are physically healthy, that is, no pain. Physically, no pain condition is physical health. Mental health is when you are not selfish. And emotional health is when you are free from anger, pride, possessiveness, attachment, likes and dislikes. Holistic science makes you that perfect.
Yeah, but
And when that happens, you are not suffering.
But like you're saying, you're suffering, I suffer. So how do I reconcile myself, or how does holistic science make me feel comfortable?
You cannot be suffering without your fault.
Okay.
You have to look around for your fault. But we are so blindfolded, we only see other people's fault. I cannot see my own fault because I always favor myself. But when I get separated from my body self as soul self, then I start seeing my own fault.
Yeah, but let
I
me give
always
you an
see myself
example.
as innocent. Huh?
Let me give you an example. If I'm standing somewhere and somebody just comes and hits me for I've done nothing, so I'm suffering, and uh, then how can I reconcile that this is not my fault?
See, one thing, look at the time, look at the space, I mean, the time, space, situation, and who gave that person inspiration to hurt you, to hit you.
I don't.
And many times, let's say, if you are asleep and someone says something to you or hits you mildly, you don't wake up. You don't realize also that someone told you something bad, or maybe didn't you don't even know that someone hurt you, and you don't feel anything. But if you are awake and someone tells you something, you get mad.
Correct.
So it's like when you are asleep, what is the situation? The ego is sleeping. When you are awake, the ego is there. So you feel hurt why someone is hitting me or why someone is telling me all these.
So when somebody hits me of no fault of reason, am I supposed to? What am I supposed to say?
Number one, number one, understand there cannot be any effect without a cause. You know, many times we hit people and run away,
That's true.
even while doing some mischief or something like that.
Yeah.
So you don't remember all your mistakes.
True.
But without a cause, there cannot be any effect. That is in principle.
So I
So,
have
you
to,
know,
in this case, I have to understand there must have been some cause, and that's why the
yes,
effect. So it was my cause, my fault. So I pardon the other person.
yes, that is why, because as you, with our limited intelligence, if you try to analyze the situation, you will always see and find and prove yourself innocent because you are only seeing circumstantial evidences.
True.
But when you see those evidences which are present working behind the curtains, which are not visible, which are driving force which is the driving force to give inspiration to that person to hurt you, to hit you. We say, oh, I was unlucky. We say, I was lucky.
Yes.
But all this, we say it was my fate, my destiny. But all these tells us the cause effect relationship. Without a cause, nothing can come as an effect. And if there is an effect, there is a cause. So if someone is hurting me, the cause should have been that I have hurt someone in the past. And without that, so
So
a very good example,
this is
when I
one of the
get my
ways to
results,
be
sorry.
happy and not retaliate. So what are the other tools? Now, I think I understand this one. What are the other tools that can be used for that I don't become angry, I don't become upset by reasoning? And before we go to the audience.
Okay, let us say, number one thing you can say, I'm wholly and solely responsible for myself. In the sense, how I fare in my exam, I get the results, I get my grades. I never blame the teacher, I never blame the institution. I know that maybe I did not fare well in the exam, and due to that, my grades were bad.
Okay.
In the same way, any suffering I come across, you cannot win a lotto out of nothing.
True.
Without a cause, we, when we cannot justify certain happening, we uh, we say I was lucky and all that stuff. But that language of luck or unluck is connected with our destiny, and destiny is not out of the blue. With a perfect cause was laid, and due to which a perfect effect came in our life in the form of suffering, whether happiness or unhappiness.
Okay. Any
So,
other tools you have that we can remember,
yeah,
like this
yeah.
one?
So, a wonderful revelation is given by the holistic inner science. It says, if anybody is living, any creature, any living form, then God has to be there. The sole factor which is there in every living form is the God. Do you hear me?
Yeah, yes, yes.
So it is said, God is in every living creature. Whom will you hurt? So when you decide not to hurt anyone through your mind, speech, and body for your happiness, so you will always be happy. And if you want happiness, then start giving happiness by opening, like if you open a shop of uh, wood material, furniture, then you will sell furniture. So you open a happiness shop, you give happiness, then you will get happiness.
Okay.
So it is also said that the world will not change for you because it is your destiny. So to make any situation pleasant, blissful, and amicable, you must adjust everywhere so that you don't get into trouble, don't get into clashes.
Okay. I have also heard, read about some of the holistic inner science that adjust everywhere. So there are some phrases that you can share with us.
Just imagine when you're on the road, you come across some detour, some diversions, and all that. Don't you follow the road? You adjust with the situation, although you don't like detours in your journey, but they come, and many times something which is just 5 miles away, you may have to drive another 15 miles and come back to the same road. So that situation, if it comes, you are willing to adjust because you want to reach your destination. In the same way, your destination is happiness. And if unhappiness and trouble comes in your life, it cannot be without your destiny. What it means, without your cause, without your mistake, previous mistake. So today, when you decide to adjust and accept and adjust, then you will surpass that situation.
Yeah, you took giving an example of a car or something, which is understandable. But when we have living in a family, husband and wife, that's where the clashes come. And what are the solutions for adjustment there?
First of all, accept the person, because nobody can tell you no and nobody can tell you yes either. If they say yes, if they say no, it is your reflection only. But see, this thing, our life is, we are living so commonly and without really being mindful about what things happen. We don't observe all those things. That why certain things other people accept and why other things people don't accept. So there is a reason for that. Because the bottom line or the end result of any situation is either I am happy or I am unhappy. And it is said, when the end is happy, it is your good deeds, result of your good deeds. When the end is unhappy, it is result of your bad deeds. You fail because of your bad deeds, you succeed because of your good deeds. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing can happen out of the blue.
Okay, I think
Either we don't see those things happening, That's why we only see the result. But in the nature, so many things happen. Like, just imagine an accident. You look and analyze any accident. Everyone is going on the road, and all of a sudden, certain things happen. Someone's tire burst. Now, who decided to burst the tire? And the car goes out of control. It hits the other car hits the other car, and there's now a big explosion. So many cars get damaged, so many get involved in the accident.
So,
Who are you going to blame?
so understanding this holistic science, where does that lead you in your life? Or
First thing, okay, sorry to interrupt you. First thing, holistic science gives your identity who you are really. Like in that example of homework today, we said we do so many things from the time we wake up till the time we go to sleep. And all those activities are of the body self. And I say, I woke up, I had breakfast, I went to restroom, I went to work, I attended meeting, had lunch, I came back home, and so on. But then all these activities are of the body. But there is soul also inside our body which keeps knowing. And I say, yes, I know. And there are many things in our life that nothing you are not able to do. And when you cannot do, you blame others. And when you can do, you say, I did it. So there has to be, you cannot be doer of good things only and bad things all others do. And you also say that I know. So what is it? Whether you have knowing function or you have doing function. And it is said, we can observe it also, that when things come together, that it happens.
so understanding of holistic science, inner science, you're saying we will be happy and ultimately blissful?
Yes, what it means, you see, can you know the activities of your body, of your mind, of your speech without the power of knowledge?
No.
And if you analyze who has the power of knowledge, who has the power to know in your body?
The soul.
Body is material. It is only the soul. So it is said that the soul is paramount, soul is supreme. And because of that knowledge power of the soul, I can understand the activity, the relative worldly activities of our body self and the material, what we see around in the world.
Okay, I think
So
we are.
the power to know is primary, is supreme rather, not primary, it is supreme. And because of that, I can understand, I can know everything. And that's why the finality of experience is absolute knowledge, perfection. And that absolute knowledge definitely gets reflected on our relative worldly life. You become perfect in that. So you're free from suffering. That's how it makes you normal, physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy.
It's nice to know holistic insights. We'll open questions from the audience.
Surely, yes.
Okay, Turtaben.
Yeah, when you were talking about suffering, now sometimes it is not the one person is only suffering. For example, if somebody gets sick in the family, and you know what, everybody in the house also is suffering. They might not be suffering bodily the disease, but but the sadness, taking care. So is that also part of our karmas then?
See, one thing is there. The definition of health, what is given holistically, is you are physically healthy, there is no pain,
Oh, okay.
no bodily pain. Mentally, when you are free from selfishness, you are mentally healthy and happy. You are emotionally happy or healthy when you are free from anger, pride, possessiveness, likes and dislikes. So owning that is selfishness matters when you know that, oh, my son, my husband, there's so many people in the world who are sick, they are having terminal diseases, they don't
Mm-hmm.
know even how long they are going to live. But you say, oh, that happens when anyone has body, then they are going to fall sick and all that stuff. You
Mm-hmm.
remain indifferent, you remain impartial, you remain unaffected. But anything or something happened to your near one or the dear ones whom you feel, oh, the person is related to me, then that is where you feel hurt. So it is said, when you have hurt someone directly, then that pain comes to you directly. But when you have hurt or supported someone hurting indirectly, then
Mm-hmm.
such suffering comes to you indirectly like
Indirectly.
this. When
Oh,
others are suffering, but you suffer because of your association with that person. And also, if you are not aware of the person's sickness, then you don't have anything.
right, right. Mm-hmm.
Thank
Right.
you. Kirtiman?
Yes, my question is how to communicate and how to live amicably with yourself and also with other, because you have your opinion, the way you think you want to cross that point across, but also do not want to hurt, but also want to, what is exactly, how should I be living peacefully with myself?
First thing, we have bunch of opinions about our own selves.
Right. Yes.
We compare ourselves with others,
Mm-hmm.
and that becomes the cause of our unhappiness and suffering. You are an individual, a unique entity in this scheme of Mother Nature. When you identify yourself as that, you have come with your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
You are responsible for yourself only. So when you know that you are responsible for yourself, anything that happens to you, you are only responsible for that, then all your blame outside stops. Things you try to see around for, see cause for the problems outside, you start seeing it inside. So first, that is important, that outside agencies are mere delivery persons. Nobody can make you unhappy. Nobody can make you happy. So it
But
is like,
how do you live with their expectation, how they wanna, what they are saying, trying to say, this is what should be done?
right.
How do you
So
compromise and also live peacefully or amicably? I don't know how to resolve that time.
okay, let us see. Number one, you have two individuals. We will not identify the relation, but you like one person and you don't like the other person. Is that possible?
Correct? Yes, possible.
Yes. So anything when it comes from the person whom you like, you are willing to do that unconditionally.
Correct.
But even something good has come from the one whom you don't like, you don't want to do it,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can understand that doing something which is asked or told by someone else depends on your emotions towards them.
Oh, okay.
Truly, it doesn't matter for you to, because you are willing to do something very awkward, very difficult thing, even for someone whom you like, but something very comfortable and even it is good for you, you don't want to do it for someone whom you don't like.
Right. Right.
So your things, your dealing with the other person, your amicable dealing depends on your emotions. So when you fight your emotions, when you solve your emotions, then you will not have problem dealing with anyone. And you cannot be dealing with anyone without a cause. Nobody will come or can come in this world without a cause. That is why, see, so holistic science is so wonderfully identified all your relations. Your relations are wherever you have eye-to-eye contact. You spend so much time with them. That is the indication of your relation. If you have noticed, there are so many people in the world, you don't spend any time with them, you don't come into their interaction, you don't have eye-to-eye contact with them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that is where, when we understand that, then, and further, when you know, you say, I am Kirti, I am Rajni, I am Deepika, I am Vinod. And all that identification is with the body self. And the body is doing. You have no control over your body. Just imagine, how are we living? We feel that it is like, is it as if I am in direct control of my living, which is not. Just a moment. Sorry. I am living, but the nature is making me live. If I am healthy, it is nature is making. But when I take supporting medicines and so and so, eat properly and all that stuff, I believe that I am living or I am healthy because of me. But even after doing all this, people they fall sick. Then why?
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to say, we are living with the help of nature. The body is living, and we are living as I am in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And we are having emotions and selfishness. The body pain or body health depends on the physical health. But the emotional part and the mental part is our stuff. So if our understanding changes, our emotions change, our mental, that is, our belief changes, and when the belief change, we become healthy. So when you are happy with your own self, understanding and accepting whatever you have with your own body self, then you know the other person has also come in this mother nature by his destiny. You have come by your own destiny, and there is connectivity between you and the person that makes you interact. And that interact, that give and take is also part of the destiny. When that is over, you'll separate out again. You don't know the person who married, you never met that person even before in your life. He comes in your life as a husband, stays there for 25, 30, 40, 50 years, and one of you die, and you separate out. Then you never meet the person again in your life. So what is that? When we analyze all those things, then we understand the whole world, as all the universe is nothing but part of destiny. But while living in this present world, present life, we cause seeds for the next life. And rather, that is a future thing. If you have the right understanding, living, then you will be able to live happily now itself.
So when you have to resolve, when you are in the situation, try to see them, put yourself in their situation and try to understand, and that way according to let it go or compromise and do that.
See, one thing, we will try to focus on the liking and the disliking part. You have to first find out if you like some person, then you are willing to do anything for that person. So there's no problem with that person, dealing with that person. But when you don't like that person, all ifs and buts come in your mind.
Right, right.
So first you must fight that disliking part from yourself.
Okay. Okay.
And when that is removed, then you are open. You have no conditions dealing with anyone.
Got it.
So why you don't like that person, you have to find out. Because that person has done something to you. So there's so many reasons. But if we analyze, be mindful about what has happened during, with that person's interaction in your life, it matters. And when that person, you start liking that person, he is very nice, she is very nice, then this effect will go. This problem will not be there at all.
Okay.
So it is so funny. Same thing comes from two individuals, one person you like, the other person you don't like. You will raise so many questions to the person whom you don't like. And you will not ask a single question and just do it. What is this? You understand? So, holistic science addresses our likes and dislikes and help us overcome our likes and dislikes. And that's how the way our body is only suffering, and that suffering will come through any outside agency, living or non-living. But always this connectivity is with the living aspect only. If it is not directly, then it is indirectly. A coconut falling from the tree, it can hurt you rolling down after hitting the land down. It can get deflected and you can get hit. You can get hurt by that. And then you don't blame anybody. The coconut, anyway, it was coming. But why were you there? And then you say, my bad luck. But that bad luck or good luck is again our destiny, and destiny is related with our suffering.
Thank you very much. Now we'll take one last question, Kanchan Bhai.
Okay. You said you have to realize who you are. Once you realize who you are through the holistic science and the greatest scientist, is I am pure self and absolute knowledge. Is it the same thing, or is there a difference?
I really didn't come again.
If you realize yourself that you are a pure soul, pure self,
okay,
and you are also absolute knowledge. So absolute knowledge and pure soul is the same thing.
True. It's like anything, any individual is along with its quality. You cannot separate material from its quality. You understand? So when you are pure soul, soul itself has power of knowing. So you cannot separate knowing function from the material, the entity. That entity which is full of knowledge is soul. And that's who you are. So when you have this realization, then it is by virtue of the knowledge that you come to know the suffering. So you cannot be the sufferer. For example, your wife says, my head is aching. Then you know that it is not your head, it is your wife's head that is aching and she is in trouble. And you have come to know because she told you that she is in trouble. So one who knows doesn't get affected. Did you get that? But when your head is aching and you say, my head is aching, you suffer. But when you become aware that that suffering was not there, now it has started, it went to the peak, it came down, and now it's not there. So in that whole process, the suffering came like a wave, like a tide, and now it is gone. But you feel, because you have a feeling, I suffered. It is my head.
Okay, so what you're saying, that absolute knowledge is a quality of your soul. It's
Right.
It's part of it, right?
It is not, it is part of it. It is like the gold is with its quality, it is called gold, and it exists as gold. The gold and the gold qualities are not separate.
Okay. Yes.
But we identify ourselves with body, with suffering, and that's how we suffer.
Correct.
This my head is I am suffering. When you say I am suffering, and when your wife says I am suffering, then you know that you are not suffering because your wife is saying I am suffering. But when you are saying I am suffering, in both the conditions you are knowing only. But
Yeah.
your connection with yourself, my head, my body, makes you feel more, makes you suffer. But the other, when your wife says, I am in trouble, I am suffering, that doesn't make you suffer.
Right.
Come to know, oh, wife is not feeling well.
Okay, thank you
Same
very
thing
much.
exists with our own body.
You know, we covered a vast topic. You talked about holistic inner science. That's the science of outside material and inside uh, mind, body, speech, and soul. Talked about the causes and effect is a real science, and then main principal thing is to understand ourselves and see why what happens to us, and the key thing is to remember that never to hurt anybody. That's a principal thing. You want to add anything else, Deepakanandji, or and if you want to give us a homework?
I feel we should further analyze the body self activities against the soul activity of knowing, and trying to be mindful about that, because the more we are mindful about our body self activities, because that is only activities and it is only I who know or have the power to know. But when I know other people's stuff, I remain okay. But when I know my body self stuff, because of my ownership, that is there. So we want to separate out the activity part and the knowing part. So let us again repeat this homework, try to analyze, and we will go more deeper into it. And then finally, maybe next time we will take the principle of holistic science.
No, that's a good one. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.